Good afternoon, everyone. 4 o'clock straight up on a Friday edition of Middays with Q. I'm your host, as always, Rich Quiñones. We'll take you up to 6 o'clock straight up on this 25th of July. It is indeed a hot one, 2025. 2 hours to play with. As always, bring something to the table. We are coming at you live on my YouTube channel, X, and of course, TryX57. Give them a follow on social media as well. Because it is, as we like to say, it is a Friday. We like to dub it a What the Frig Friday. So, what made you say What the Frig in the world of sports on this Friday? Now, a lot of actually, it could just be What the Frig in anything. We've kind of dealt with it during the week with all these passings, right? With Hulk Hogan, we talked about, my man Theo Huxtable, right? Malcolm Jamal Warner, Ozzy Osbourne, Chuck Mangione. I mean, what the frig is going on here? I mean, everyone, you turn around. It always happens in threes and fours and fives. But sports wise, busy show. And we'll do the Q Fecta around 5:45. Also, I want to get you guys in tune with a couple things. We're working on a couple different segments, and there's going to be some moving parts to the show come the fall time. So we are definitely going to keep you guys locked in on that. A couple other platforms. We might be moving around the time. So a couple things are still in the works. But again, we're always going to be here. You never really have to worry about that. As always, get social with us on this Friday. TryX57 on IG and X, and you can follow me on IG and X, and of course TikTok. Rich Mike. I do want to start. There's a little bit going on in the NFL. I'm sorry, in Major League Baseball with some trades, but I have to start with this story coming out in the NFL, where I feel as though, what are we trying to gloss over this story? According to multiple sources, right? You love that one. Multiple sources. It's all about the multiple sources. This is a big one, folks. We like to say, this is kind of a doozy. At least 100 players face penalty over Super Bowl tickets, meaning over scalping, selling, doing what you're not supposed to be doing. Doing what you're not supposed to be doing, because that is, as we like to say in the profession, a no-no. An absolute no-no. And this story to me is absolutely not even bizarre. I don't even put stories like this past anyone, especially when it comes to players and those that have their hand in the cookie jar with these teams. But this is a big one. This is a big one. At least 100 players from roughly half of the NFL's 32 teams face fines and possible suspension for allegedly selling their allotted tickets to this year's Super Bowl above face value. Everybody wants to make a buck. In violation of league policies, multiple sources are telling the mothership. Under an agreement between the league and the NFL Players Association, the NFLPA, players who violated the rule will find 1.5 times the face ticket value and lose their allotted tickets to the next 2 Super Bowls, which is really not a big punishment. If they are playing in the game, the players will have the chance to purchase seats. Still, those who decline the punishment could be suspended by Commissioner Roger Goodell, league and union sources with direct knowledge of the situation said. So basically, here you go. I've given you X amount of tickets. You have X amount of allotted tickets. Go do as you please. And you got players selling these tickets. Selling these tickets. Are you kidding me? Like, we want to say, what the frig? How about what the frig? These guys are millionaires. What are you, jacking up the prices so you can squeeze a couple extra $100? Out of who? For what? It makes absolutely no sense whatsoever. It really makes no sense whatsoever. And this just shows you again the greed. The greed. According to an NFL memo sent out to 32 teams and attained by ESPN, an investigation revealed the team employees and players sold tickets to a small number of hands. You're scalping friggin' tickets who were working with ticket resellers. That's all that was. I mean, there are sources that are saying the number of players involved was in excess of 100. Some whom already accepted the fines to avoid missing games. A league source declined to identify the players. Well, that's just not acceptable. And employees who sold their Super Bowl tickets or their clubs. You got to let us know. You got to let. I'm not saying this is the Epstein list, but you got to let us know. Can we divulge in this? Can we dive into this a little deeper? Can you give me a little more here? If you're the NFL? Wow. This is just embarrassing. Embarrassing. For a league that sits there and they want to protect the shield, right? They want to protect the shield. And yes, has this happened before? 100%. This happened like 20 something odd years ago. I think Mike Tice was fined 100,000. Now, if you go back to about 7 or 8 years ago, this was 2005, Tice was in trouble, right? Because it's strictly prohibited under NFL rules. But a new report back in 2013 said that plenty of other players and coaches still sell their Super Bowl tickets. So, again, this is nothing new, but now you're talking in excess of 100 plus players and employees, which is not the look you want if you're the NFL. The NFL that prides itself all the time protecting the shield. That's all the NFL pushes. That's all the NFL promotes. That's all the NFL wants to talk about. Protect, protect, protect the shield. And now this comes out. Which is a horrible look for the league. It is. It's a bad look because you're opening up Pandora's box with a lot of stuff. And as I mentioned, the policy is specifically incorporated into the CBA. So you got league and/or club employees, including players, from selling NFL game tickets acquired from their employer for more than the ticket's face value or for an amount greater than the employee originally paid for the ticket. We're not going to get that list. We're not going to. Now, what happens if a Mahomes or a Jalen Hurts are on that list? Or an A.J. Brown or a Kelsey? I mean, listen, I feel as though everyone now is going to come out and just sit there and say, well, I got a ticket from this player, this player, this player, this player, this player, this player. I mean, the NFL allows aftermarket sites, right? Vivid Seats, StubHub, Master, sell the tickets above face value. So the players get a little extra for the tickets and they're going to face fines or suspension. So now follow me for a second. Follow me with this for one moment. It's not a little extra, right? It's not. So I don't believe the players need a little extra. But if you're dealing with these third-party entities and now you're going to get on the players, that's an issue. That's an issue. Now, I think overall it's a bad look for the NFL. I do. Overall, I think it's a bad look. But this is nothing new. But it all goes back to when you got to hear that nonsense about protecting the shield. The integrity of the game. The integrity, mind you, of the league. Because we hear that. We hear that a lot. from the commissioner's mouth. The integrity, protecting the integrity of the league. Okay. But yet you have players that are in the league and you've got employees of said franchises who are now trying to make an extra buck. Basically, in essence, we're scalping tickets. I mean, that's let's just call it for what it is. Let's just call it for what it is. It's such the NFL is such a monster, but yet for some reason the NFL can't get out of its own way with stuff. It really can't. So yeah, you're going to fine all these players because they don't want to get pinched with a suspension. They don't want their names to come out. That's all that is. That's all that is. So now all of a sudden we're going to start cracking down on players and team members. I mean, first of all, if you're playing in the NFL, even if you're like a reserve, third string on what you're making a pretty decent living, are you not? So what's the incentive to go out and try to make a little extra cash by selling Super Bowl tickets? That's foolish. That's absolutely foolish. It's just there's no common sense. None. No common sense. Now, what happens if it's a notable player? Several notable players, marquee players. We're never going to know because they're going to take the fines so they can avoid the suspensions. But hey, Roger Goodell, clean up your house. Clean up your house, will you? I mean, you got to figure it out, man. You're making how much a year? You're making how much are the owners paying you, Roger Goodell, to basically run a clean and tight ship? $63 million? 55, 60, $65 million? That's what you're making. Healthcare insurance, generational wealth, healthcare insurance for the family for the rest of their lives, private jet, copter. Come on. Embarrassing. Embarrassing. Facto chimes in. Didn't Mike Tice ask all the players for their Super Bowl tickets so he can resell them? He did. We just talked about that. Why did I get kicked out of the chat? Happy Fridays, fellas. Is that a rhetorical question, man? I don't know. Is there a joke there? 100 naughty players around February. Yes, very. Never underestimate the other guy's greed. I mean, what are we doing here? By the way, you trying to go Scarface with me? Stumped. Don't know what the freak Friday. You're pulling that nonsense. You're coming in soft. Never underestimate the other guy's greed. Come on, Frank Lopez. I got a vault in Spain. I'll get you the money. Elvira, you want Elvira? So there's a place, madman. I will share this with you. There's a place that is called Montana's. It basically emulates. It's a restaurant in Miami that emulates everything from Scarface. But you can't come with me with that kind of nonsense. Your day of mourning is over. Where's the collar shirt? No, it's 93 degrees. And you know what? I set the rules on my friggin' show de facto. And it's 24 to 48 hours. I wanted to go with the yellow tee today, but now I'm going with the baby blue. No, it's 24 to 48 hours mourning for those passings this week. So, yeah, the collar shirt will be back on Monday. But as I mentioned, we're working on a couple little kinks and surprises for the fall season as well with football. Monday Marcus chimes in. Q, I don't get it. The greed of these players is astronomical, and it's just flat out stupid. Yeah, it is. It is. It makes no sense. I mean, you've got a league, an entity that's worth billions and billions. I mean, it's a monster. It's a monster. If the NFL really wanted to do something, the hell with the fines. They would level suspensions because they're a drop in the hat. Level suspensions because the players have zero common sense. Now, if you look at the market for scalping Super Bowl tickets, this has been going on for years. It's been going on for years with players, coaches, league employees, but yet the NFL wants to project this clean image of the shield. But ultimately, even if it's a relatively common practice, it's a blatant violation of the NFL rules. So the players and coaches, yes, I can buy a ticket. If I'm working for the NFL, if I'm playing in the NFL, if I'm working for a team, I should say, um, I can buy a ticket. Giants in the Super Bowl, I'm going to buy $1,000 ticket. And I can give that ticket to one of you guys, family and friends. But it's pretty much written that nowhere under any uncertain terms am I allowed to scalp those tickets for a profit. I can't sell it to you for $1,001. I can't. So if the NFL finds out about a player or coach doing it, then yeah, they should be in trouble. Tice got nailed with a $100,000 fine. A couple Vikings assistant back and got nailed as well. And we saw this. We saw this a while ago, did we not? There were other employees of the NFL teams that got pinched. But if I'm a player and I'm dumb enough to do this and I'm making hundreds of thousands or millions of dollars, come on. Don't fine me. Suspend me. Suspend me. Period. If you're a reserve making $500K and you need to try and flex on the franchise player, the reserve player would sell the tickets. But what's the incentive for what? You're not making sense. If you're a reserve making 500,000, you're not trying to flex on a franchise player. That's stupidity. That's not common sense. There are no even street smarts, no book smarts involved in that one. You should know that. So if you're a reserve player, if you're the third string quarterback, you're trying to sell you're going to get caught. You're going to get caught, period. It literally it says it. I don't know the full story. Were there tickets given to these players by the NFL? The tickets are allotted by the teams in the Super Bowl. Period. Or did they purchase and try to flip? Either way, I guess it can't. No, it can happen. It can. I just stated it for you. It's a blatant violation of NFL rules. You can't do it. I can't play for the Eagles and the Eagles are in the Super Bowl, or I work for the Philadelphia Eagles. Like, let's just say I'm doing a PR spin and I use Spadaro. I use his name, right? The mouthpiece. He works for the Eagles. We know that. The Eagles are what? An entity of what? The NFL. So all of a sudden, the Eagles are in the Super Bowl in February, and Lori gives Spadaro or, employee A, B, and C 5 tickets. And those 5 tickets combined value is $5,000. They're $1,000 each. Here you go. I can now turn around. I can sell you that ticket for $1,000. I can do that. But if I want to sell you that ticket for $2,000, or if I want to sell you 5 for 10 and make a profit of 5,000, I can't do that. I can't. That's against policy. You cannot do that. Period. And the problem is you've got players and employees working with bundlers. Basically, here, man, take these. Do what you can and keep 10%. Give me the rest. So I got 10 tickets. They're $1,000. There's $10,000. I give him the Joe Schmo on the street, working the streets. Here you go. You got some connections. He turns around. He waits till the witching hour. He sells them for $100,000. There's my 90,000 profit, and I got to give him a nut of say 10%. Here's 10 grand for you, and I pocket 80. You can't do that. You can't. And that's exactly what some of these employees and some of these players have done. So when the NFL comes out, and again, and I'm using that as an example, right? Again, I don't know exactly how many tickets are allotted, how many tickets are given out, but it's still it doesn't matter. If there's 53 to a roster and I give you 100, does not matter. And no, PSLs, you're talking about the PSL licensing for the seats de facto. The franchises, the stadiums get that. You have to charge. Nobody likes PSL licenses. Nobody does. That's why a lot of people ultimately, you're talking about the PSL. For those that don't know, it's a personal seat license, PSL. It's a paid license that entitles the holder, me, the right to buy season tickets for a certain seat in said stadium. Now, is it a crock? Yes, it is, because every year the prices go up. It's not fair, but when new stadiums come, who's paying for them? The season ticket holders and the taxpayers. A la the Eagles are looking to get a new stadium already. There's rumblings about that. PSLs, they're going to go up. Those fees are going to go up. The seats, the value of those seats are going to go up. Now, if you want to sit there and tell me, like, if we're really breaking it down, if you want to sit there and say by law, it's in fact not a license to have a first shot at tickets, right? For like a seat for life, like a generational. It's a surcharge you pay. But that's the NFL. It's not a made up. Listen, let me ask you a question. And I agree with you, but I don't agree with you. I know what you're saying. I understand what you're saying. Is it Bush League when you book a flight and you're paying for what? Are you paying for the flight or are you paying for the seat on the flight? And when you get there, all of a sudden, well, we might not have a seat available. Well, I paid for it. No, you paid for a ticket. You didn't pay for a seat. It's crappy. It's horrible. It's, should be outlawed. But think of it in sports terms in this regard. The PSL is entitling you to that seat in that designated area. And the NFL is going to do it. Stadiums do it because they do have to make a nut. And again, I don't like it. I know people that have canceled their PSLs because they get expensive. When teams do well, what happens? You get that email and you say, hey, we appreciate your loyalty as an Eagles season ticket holder, but we are raising what? Prices next year. We're doing it next year. Now, I know a lot of guys that go to a lot of games and they're generational families and fans, and they go to listen, you can, you got a few $100 and then some, depending upon where you're sitting, it can be thousands of dollars. I know a Jet fan that paid, I think, $5,000 per season. Now, you're talking about a Jet fan that's, been going to games for 10, 15, 20 years. That's a lot. But it's a one-time fee that gives you the right to purchase season tickets for a specific seat, which, again, you also need to, grab them manually. But, again, the point is this. You're not allowed to sell your tickets over the value. You can't make a profit. You can't. You can't. Listen, if you don't like what the owners are doing, don't go to games. The owners can fleece the fans. Why not the players? It's made up fee. Your Commanders haven't had PSL until this new stadium. Well, listen, they might go back to their original name. Apparently, that's what the POTUS is saying. Don't go to the games then. Don't watch. Don't buy merchandise. Don't go to the bar, eat, watch your team. Don't sit at home, watch your team, DirecTV, NFL Network, whatever. You have to pay for everything. Everything in life. Nothing's free. Whether we like it or not, but it's an apples and oranges right now. Your comp is off. Because you're giving me PSLs for one thing, which by law, they're allowed to charge. And they can come up with their own price. And now you're comparing it to players and employees who are literally told, do not sell these tickets to make a profit. And that's exactly what they're doing. And the players are getting off easy because they're only going to get fined. They're not getting suspended. Like, that's my whole point. If the NFL wants to clean up, if they want to clean up the nonsense, if they want to keep saying, we protect the shield, we protect the shield, okay, clean it up in-house, because that's a sleazy kind of look. It is. It's a sleazy kind of look. Told not to do it, and they're doing it. And they got caught now, period. All right, 25 past 4 o'clock hour. A little more NFL, as I mentioned, John Bueller in the 5 o'clock hour. Some trades going down in MLB. We got the Q-Fecta at 5:45. By the way, what made you say, what the frig this week in the world of sports? I have a couple of stories that we will get into, but it was a bizarre type of sports week. It really was, because we're starting to hit the end of July, training camp in full throttle. We'll get you caught up to speed on that. And as I mentioned, with baseball and the trade deadline right around the corner, there's a couple teams that I think, well, we already saw some teams make some moves, but we'll focus a little more Yanks, Mets, O's, and the Philadelphia Phillies. By the way, Marlins, Brewers early on, that is scoreless. And I'll give you some WNBA plays as well later on. But we got a lot of comments coming in on, I guess you want to call it Scoutgate. We will get into that as well. Keep it locked in. We'll take you up to 6 o'clock straight up on a Friday edition of Middays with Q. Rich Quiñones there. As always, don't forget to get social with us. Very, very, very easy to do. You can follow along at TriX57 on Facebook, IG, and X. You can log on to TriX57.com. You can also follow me on X at RichQNQ and IG, posting a lot of clips and content. I had to get to some of the comments yesterday. This is regarding the Cam Newton and his thoughts on Jalen Hurts. And I posted that clip, Lloyd and I talking a little bit on Facebook and TikTok, and well over 100 something on comments. I mean, some of the comments, like, people are delusional when they're trying to compare the two quarterbacks. So I'll read them off. I'll get your guys' thoughts on that as well. But keep it locked in. We're just cranking it up on a Friday edition, Middays with Q. We'll take you up to 6. Good stuff with the on X. We always appreciate that. And a quick timeout. We'll come back on the other side and we'll reset the table for you.
This is what the Down Beach Seafood Fest is all about. It's about community, it's about friends, it's about culture, right? The food culture in Atlantic County is rich.
Hi, I'm Bruce Pesco. I'm very fortunate. Years ago, I found something that I genuinely like to do, and it's something that helps other people. What I do is help people transition from traditional health insurance into Medicare. I've been doing it here in Atlantic County for more than 20 years. If you're getting ready for Medicare, call me for a free consultation. 609-484-9800.
All right, 4:30 on a Friday. We'll take you up to 6 o'clock straight up. As I mentioned, get social with us, Friday edition, Middays with Q. Got some comments coming in. So this is what I got yesterday. This is actually pretty comical. Because you do have to, I do at times question knowledge of said posters or said fans. And I think, there's a reason I can do that, because sometimes my takes are 100% accurate. And other times, people's retorts are not accurate. Let me see. So this was, regarding the Cam Newton comments. This is great. So Big Cheese chimes in. Cam had Carolina. Hurts just had an MVP running back, 3 O-line, and top 3 defense. T-Dub says he went to 2 Super Bowls won. If Cam won that bowl, this is a whole different conversation. League MVP, Offensive Player of the Year, NFL Rookie of the Year, leader in career rushing touchdowns for quarterbacks. I'm gone. So these are some guys that were basically, some are coming out now, in essence, saying that Cam Newton was a better quarterback or is a better quarterback than Jalen Hurts. And my whole thing was, I don't care what Cam did in college. I don't care if he was a top pick. I don't care. What's funny is that people forget, the NFL is a different animal. So when you have this hatred towards some of these quarterbacks already, and you want to throw, shade on their direction, as some have done, you've got to back it up with some. You've got to back it up with stats. You've got to back it up with stats, and you got to back it up with facts. And for people to turn around and tell me that 15-1 Carolina team only had Cam Newton, I'm thinking to myself, what the hell are you talking about? Like, wow, that made absolutely no sense. I mean, they had, let's see, you had Cam Newton, you had Jonathan Stewart, you had Tolbert. Who else you had? You had Ginn for a little bit. You had the other running back. You had who was the Funchess as well. You had a very good defense, right? I mean, their offense, Ginn had 700 something odd yards. You had Jericho Crabtree. You had Corey Brown. You had Funchess. You had guys that were receiving the ball all over the place. All over the place. You had Greg Olsen, by the way, and their defense was really, really good. Their defense was really good. So, I mean, Thomas Davis was an AP All-Pro, right? So I don't want to hear this that Cam Newton didn't have players. Cam Newton had players. Cam was unbelievable that season. He really was. He was. And people fell in love with the allure of Cam Newton as a rookie when he had that stretch of games where he basically lit the world on fire. So their points they were first out of 32 teams, and they had the 6th ranked defense. So don't give me this nonsense that Cam Newton didn't have anyone, that Cam Newton didn't have a stacked team, that Cam Newton didn't have it on both sides of the ball. It's utterly ridiculous. Like, you've lost the argument right there. You've lost the argument. You've lost it. Just admit that Jalen Hurts is a good quarterback, and there's nothing wrong with that. There's nothing wrong with saying a quarterback is good, but if you're going to come at me and you're going to throw shade on a quarterback because he plays with weapons, I just gave you a guy like Newton. Yesterday, we made the same analogy and the same parallels with the guys that I talked about, the Bradshaws of the world, the Aikmans of the world. Sarge chimes in, Q, I was always a big Cam Newton fan. I think Jalen Hurts is good. I'm not going to put him top 10. I think he has a long way to go to catch Newton. But in what regard? Like, in what regard? Like, let's pull up Jalen Hurts' stats for a moment, shall we? And it's utterly ridiculous we even have to have this conversation. So Jalen Hurts has been in the NFL 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. This is going to be his 6th season. This will be his 5th season, let's call it, as a legit full-time starter. His 2nd year, he went 8-7. Then he went 14-1, 11-6, 12-3. He's 46-20 in his career. He has 85 passing touchdowns, already over 15,000 yards. I didn't even get to what he does on the ground, rushing. I mean, I'm going to pull that up for you in a moment. And oh, by the way, he's been to how many Super Bowls? 2. He's won how many Super Bowls? 1. He's been an MVP of a Super Bowl how many times? Once. I think it's time we just, as you guys like to say, put a little respect. Jalen Hurts has 55 rushing touchdowns and 3,100 yards rushing as a quarterback. Now, again, still early on in his career. Cam Newton, I'm going to pull up his numbers, had 32,000 passing yards, 194 touchdowns, and 123 picks. He played 148 games. He won 75 games with 68 losses and 1 tie. Now follow me for a moment. Jalen Hurts already has won how many games did I say in his career? He's won, I just pulled it up, plus the MVP, and this 46. Look at the trajectory. I mean, he's got, not including the playoffs, where he's 6-3. So now you're talking he's won 52 games in his career. Cam Newton's won 75. Like, I mean, what do you guys, isn't it about winning? Isn't it about winning? Look, he played outstanding in Auburn. He had his standout single season. And when he burst onto the scene in the NFL, he was a stud. And his style of play cut down his career. It cut down his career. It's unfortunate. It happens. It happens. 2015, best player in the NFL. Also, NFL Rookie of the Year. I'm not taking any of that away from Cam Newton. I'm not. But Jalen Hurts is going to have more rushing touchdowns than Cam Newton when it's all said and done. And Jalen Hurts is going to have more rushing yards than Cam Newton when it's all said and done. I mean, you just look at the numbers. He's already over 3,100 yards. Cam Newton had 56 rushing yards. Jalen Hurts, if he stays healthy, another 5, 6, 7 years, he's passing that. Rushing touchdowns, 75 for Newton. Jalen Hurts already has 55. I mean, like, this is what I'm saying. You guys you don't like, okay? You don't like when we talk about certain quarterbacks because we're still, again, we're not allowed to have an opinion on some of these quarterbacks. But yet, you guys want to push certain narratives with the quarterbacks that you just like because you like them. And I'm answering from a lot of comments from yesterday because, like I said, when I posted that clip, there was about 100-something odd comments, and I wanted to get to them. It's apples and oranges in the NFL. Just give me a guy that wins consistently. Consistently. And I don't need, again, to let anything go. Still on the Cam and Jalen. It's just, we talked about it for 10 minutes yesterday, Vince. Cam is doing the Skip Bayless hot controversial takes, and he got your ass. How did he get my ass good? Cam Newton sounds like a friggin' jackass clown. He didn't get me. There's nothing to let go. What I'm going to let go is I'm going to put to bed these goofballs out there that actually try to argue with me that Newton's a better quarterback than Jalen Hurts. You're going to lose that argument. It's not even debatable. They need to let it go. The list people need to let it go. The ones that keep saying this kid's not a top 5 quarterback need to let it go. It's not about hot take. Cam Newton believes exactly what he says. He's bitter because he was too much of a you-know-what because he didn't feel like diving on a football in the Super Bowl. He's got no friggin' heart. Stop. Stop with the nonsense. Just stop. Stop. Unbelievable. Just stop. Come on. Just stop already. Utter nonsense. Monday Marcus chimes in. Was never a Newton fan. Thought he was very good, but still not in the same category of a young Hurts. Agree. I agree. It's a quarterback position in the NFL, man. Just give me a guy that wins. Just give me a guy that wins in the NFL. That's all I want. That's it. Yes, we throw the stats out there. We always throw the stats out there. But just give me a guy that wins. My whole thing is I don't understand why these former quarterbacks got to piss on these current quarterbacks. That's what I don't understand. Is it jealousy? Is it envy? I mean, the conversation ends when a player says he rather has an MVP award than a Super Bowl trophy. That's kind of... And by the way, speaking of goofiness, you've got a quarterback in Philly that doesn't say a word. And then you got the nonsense with Dallas where they're hooting and hollering in training camp. Another reason why I think the Dallas Cowboys, it's a clown show. It's a clown show. Dak Prescott comes in. He's lean. He's ready. He's ripped. All right. What does that mean? I mean, if there's 3 or 4 teams this year in the NFL that I think are in for the rudest of rude awakenings, one of them, it's the Dallas Cowboys. It's the Dallas Cowboys. And you got Jerry Jones calling Michael Parsons. You know, Jerry Jones trying to stick it right there. Dak Prescott, when we talk about these quarterbacks that are always under the microscope, Dak Prescott right now, I don't know what his legacy will be when it's all said and done in Dallas, but I know I know a lot of Dallas Cowboys fans. They can't, at this point, they wanted to move on from Dak Prescott. They wanted to move on from Dak Prescott. They were like, that's it. We're done. It's not working out. Go in a different direction. That franchise is a clown show. They're not going to compete in the NFC East. That's a 2-team race. My Washington Commanders and the Philadelphia Eagles. My Washington Commanders. Well, I didn't know we had training camp going on. Really? Justin Fields is hurt. I think we talked a little bit about that yesterday. Do the Jets try to make a trade to go for a quarterback? No, he's day to day. He's going to be fine. See, you're sucking into, Fox Sports, NFL media. Justin Fields, lower leg injury. He's done. His career's over. I mean, he's already back on the practice field. NFL report to beat guys. Oh my God, carted off in a cast. Not going to make it. Might have to get rid of the foot. Then he's hopping around today. No. I don't believe the Jets. Right now, this is what you're looking at if you're the Jets. You've got a viable option in Taylor. Okay? Fields, he'll be fine. Now, will they monitor the situation to answer your question? Of course they will. Will they scour and see what's going on? Because I don't think that Brady Cook or Adrian Martinez is the answer. Taylor is a pros pro. He's been around the block. He's well-traveled. He's played for multiple teams. The Jets already kind of know what they have him from his time with the Giants and, of course, playing in the AFC East with Buffalo. If he had to come in for a little bit, he can come in. I'm not of the belief that these teams really need to carry 4 quarterbacks. Now, if you're asking me if the Jets, I don't know, take a look at, say, what's going on in Cleveland, then possibly, yes. Possibly, yes. They might monitor that situation just in case. Look, if you ever, banged your toe, dislocated your toe, it's not a fun type of injury. You can work through it. You can. You just, from stepping and cutting and putting weight and pressure. But he was already off. Like I said, he was already on the field today. And they're going to sideline him, and that's the smart play. I want this kid to be fully healthy because I think he has an opportunity to put up some really nice numbers this year with the Jets. I really do. They've got some weapons. They got good wide receivers that they re-signed, monster contracts. They can run the football. I'm not 100% sold yet entirely on the offensive line. But again, the good news is that, it's they said he injured his toe, but it wasn't his big toe. A lineman stepped on him, according to Aaron Gled. So he said that, sense of relief, here we go. He should be ready. Now, what does that mean? He should be ready by week 1. He'll be ready in another week. We don't know. But yeah, you're always going to monitor the situation, what's going on with 31 other teams, especially in the quarterback situation. Because look at Cleveland. Cleveland has 4 quarterbacks. I just don't see the Cleveland Browns carrying 4 quarterbacks in season. I don't. Look, the Jets can look at the Giants. The Giants, Russell Wilson, Jameis Winston, Dart, and then obviously DeVito. And oh, by the way, I know that it's only training camp. I'm not going to get too giddy, but this kid Carter looks like an absolute friggin' beast for the Giants. Defensive side of the ball. I'm not talking about the quarterbacks. I saw the moon ball that you guys were tweeting at me, Russell Wilson and Malik Neighbors. But this kid, Carter, looks like he can be a player. Let me get some of these comments. This is Facebook. And again, what do we got here? 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 Q, I know we don't really look at stats. This is actually from Jay. Q, I know we don't typically look at stats, but you always seem to bring up the point that wins and losses are pegged to a quarterback. Do you think that's fair? I never liked it, but that's a quarterback position. I brought this up with Lloyd the other day. Pitchers get tagged with wins or losses. Quarterbacks get tagged, again, with wins or losses. Would a toe injury hold back? No, not at all. Play with a concussion. Actually, and a hematoma. Yeah, that's not. Now, Michael knows better. De facto, Q has too much heart to let dislocated toe stop him from stepping on the pitch. Yeah, you got to fight through that, man. You remember, too, though, when you get the new cleats, like back in the day, you take them home, you're kind of figuring out, all right, am I going to wear them today? But what do? Take them in the shower with us, right? Because the leather, it molds to the feet. That's what they tell you to do. You take those Adidas, you bring them in the shower, you let that leather kind of sit, get wet, mold to the feet. No, you got to play through it. I played with a hematoma on my leg in college. That was painful because every time I touched it, every time that was not good. And I found out afterwards it was a hematoma. And if you ever dealt with that, it's almost like a blood clot, like it swells up. You got to fight through that. Suck it up. Now, Justin Fields, I think, is a tough kid. I think he's going to be out there. But I expect big things from Justin Fields. I look around this league, and I mentioned that I think the Dallas Cowboys are one of those teams that are in for a rude awakening. I still maintain that Kansas City is going to take a step back. I feel as though that Super Bowl really humbled them. That Super Bowl loss really humbled them. They got physically beat and physically manhandled. How do you recover from that? It's not because I'm a little more biased towards what I think Denver can potentially do in the West. I'm not saying that. I told you, I think Denver is going to give Kansas City a run for the money. But when I say a step back, I think this period of Kansas City dominating, it ended. It ended against the Philadelphia Eagles. That's just my opinion. I think it's an older team. I think the league's starting to figure out how to slow them down. Is Kelsey all in? Patrick Mahomes is running for his life of late. Sometimes he reverts back to that young quarterback, that gunslinger that was not making the right decisions. Did Patrick Mahomes, did he give you a Mahomes-like season last year? No, he didn't. He didn't. And you know why? Because he was sacked the most times in his career. The offensive line concerns me. He threw 11 picks. He had 26 touchdowns. He didn't even crack 4,000 yards, and he was sacked 36 times. That offensive line concerns me. And oh, by the way, even though Patrick Mahomes is still under 30, he's 29, he'll be 30. He's taking a lot of hits. I'm telling you, you're talking about, again, teams that are in for a rude awakening. Dallas, Kansas City. I think Pittsburgh is also in for a rude awakening. I mean, this whole notion that Aaron Rodgers is going to come in and jumpstart this offense and turn back the clock and, get those training camp interceptions out of the way, there's something off. And I get worried when a franchise is taking a risky move. The decision to bring in Rodgers, and again, this is just me, I think it's going to prove costly. And I think the fact that Mike Tomlin and the Steeler brass bypassed quarterbacks during the draft because they put all their eggs in the Aaron Rodgers basket. When this goes south, you might see Tomlin fired. And all the Pittsburgh Steelers fans, I know you guys are going to come at me. This is not hot take. I'm not trying to be, that jackass Bayless and those guys. I'm telling you what I honestly believe. I think Mike Tomlin, if you polled if you did a straw poll of Steelers fans, I would say half of them are over Mike Tomlin. They're ready to move on. They are ready to move on. Now, it's not always on the head coach. The GM, again, has to make the moves, but it also falls on the head coach to get everyone in line. And if you think Pittsburgh and Mike Tomlin, if you think Mike Tomlin goes into the season not on the hot seat, you're sadly mistaken. I mean, it's cooking right now. It is absolutely, and I believe he does deserve to be on the hot seat. Because after a while, you have to win. I don't care about competitive. I don't care about winning records. The Steelers have lost 6 straight playoff games. And you know what? The team that builds themselves, they pride themselves on defense. If you go and look at the numbers combined, they got outscored by a total of 96 points and outgained by almost 700 yards and 6 losses. And in the first quarter alone, they were outscored 73-0. That tells me head coach does not have his team prepared. And I don't want to hear this. Oh, well, he's one of the most contested head coaches. Yeah, look at the numbers that he's Hey, man, they won 40 games over 4 years, but they haven't won a playoff game since 2016. That is a staggering amount of time considering the talent they have had in that span. So you got the Cowboys, you got the Steelers, you got the Chiefs. Some of the teams that I think are going to take a big time step back. He would play through the injury. He runs through the fire. I do, Michael. Thank you. I do it. Listen, the first guy through the wall is always, he gets the bloodiest the most. You know that. I mean, think about this, right? You storm the beaches of Normandy. Those souls, those brave souls, man, they knew. It was inevitable, but what did they do? They still stormed the beaches in Normandy. They still did. That's a man right there. That's doing what you have to do. And that was the ultimate sacrifice, by the way. And I'm not even making a joke about that. I'm just letting you know that's what we do. That is the ultimate sacrifice right there. What I do, playing a little injured, a little banged up, maybe the allergies, maybe a little flu, come on the air, stuff like that. That's okay. I can't compare myself to what they did and what our troops do right now. But to your point, I try to run towards the fire. I do. I really do. That's a rare thing to run towards the fire. That is a rare thing to do. First Lady Q, are you almost done? Laugh out loud, slippery Pete. I am on season 3 of Sneaky Pete. I'm almost done. I like it. It got a little, there's a lot of moving parts to it, right? But I'm trying to anything about a con. I'm all about a con. I love a con. Who doesn't love a con? You trust a bunker is running towards a fire. I mean, are you kidding me? Throw a friggin' match, they run in the other direction. Oh, man. I cannot wait for the NFL season. I feel as though the Bunker Boys, and the Eagles fans, they doing a lot of chirping. T chimes in. Q, I understand your comments on the Steelers. I'm a big time Steeler Nation fan, but let's be honest, they've been in quarterback purgatory since Roethlisberger retired in 2022. It doesn't matter. It does not matter. Quarterbacks come and go in the NFL. Franchise quarterbacks, we know they're rare. We get it. But your job as a head coach is to do what? Coach them up. Coach them up. Not everyone's blessed with having a Roethlisberger, a Rivers, and Eli as long as they had. Not everyone's blessed having a Manning or a Brady. Not everyone's blessed, having a guy like Patrick Mahomes. But it's next man up in the NFL. It's next man up. I really believe they should have, They waited. Where the Steelers screwed themselves is they weren't going to resign Russell Wilson, but they wanted to resign Justin Fields. But they allowed Fields to go test the market, and the Jets swooped in and offered him a multi-year contract. Good for the kid. It's all because there were whispers and rumblings that if you don't take a quarterback, Rodgers is going to be waiting. Rodgers is going to be there. Rodgers will make his decision. You can't bank your future on a guy that's not all in. You can't. And the fact that Rodgers took his time, waiting, that told you everything you needed to know if you were a Pittsburgh Steelers fan. It was not the right play. They should have drafted a quarterback, and you rip the Band-Aid off and you start over. There's nothing wrong. There's nowhere, it's not written in the bylines of the world of sports where you can't do that. You're allowed to do that. Franchises can start over. Now, here's the rub with that. If you're a Steelers fan, you're going to come at me and say, well, then that means Tomlin gets a pass. No, he doesn't. Sometimes if you're going to start over, you really start over. You really start over. It's painful. We don't like it as fans. We get annoyed. We get frustrated. We have lack of patience. But typically the teams that can kind of weather that storm, they kind of make it out okay on the other side. And the fact that they waited, they lost out on Fields. He signs with the Jets. Russell Wilson goes to the Giants because you knew he was going to de facto starter number one, week one. Now you're waiting on a guy that's not all in. He's not. I don't care what Aaron Rodgers says. I don't care what Aaron Rodgers has done for the past 15 years in NFL's career. Aaron Rodgers, his resume is intact. His legacy is intact. But at this moment in time, this is a quarterback, a man that's not all in. What he's doing is he's hanging on. That's all Aaron Rodgers is doing right now. He's just hanging on. And we, in the media and the fans, get sucked in almost this fanboy kind of notion that Rodgers is going to be the Rodgers of 2011, 2012, 2013, 2020. He's not that guy anymore. He doesn't move around as well. He's taken a lot of hits. He's been injured. He's been banged up. He's not seeing the field like he used to. It's a different animal right now. And oh, by the way, that offensive line is not the best for the Pittsburgh Steelers. It's just not. Sure, Aaron Rodgers might go out and throw for 25 touchdowns and 3,500 yards, but you know what? He's also going to be planning on his fanny a lot. A lot. Am I going to say he's cooked? I'm not going to say he's cooked, but I'm going to say that it's very evident and clear that he's on the backside of 9. The twilight, it's almost time, man. And if you want to have this see, Aaron Rodgers, the ego and the pride are a powerful thing. It's a powerful thing. Everyone knew when Rodgers went down 4 offensive snaps in his Jets debut on Monday Night Football against Buffalo, and he tears the Achilles. There was no way that Aaron Rodgers was calling it a career. Why? Because Aaron Rodgers did not want to go out like that. Aaron Rodgers didn't want to be remembered for running through, Jet Stadium, MetLife, and waving the American flag, and then 4 offensive snaps later, he goes down. That's not how he wanted to be remembered. It's the ego. It's a powerful thing. So he comes back and he plays 17 last year. Okay, fine. But do you also know that Aaron Rodgers was sacked 40 times? Aaron Rodgers was sacked 40 times. That's the second most since 2017 when he was playing it 49 times. Last time I checked, that Steelers offensive line is shaky. It's shaky. I don't see Aaron Rodgers lasting 17 weeks. I really don't. It's one of the reasons I think that team's in for a rude awakening. So you got Dallas, you got Kansas City, you got Pittsburgh. I mean, there's a couple other teams. I think Minnesota, and you guys are you're gonna kill me for this, but Minnesota's taken a step back without Darnold. And I know Vince is probably going nuts right now, but you're in essence starting a rookie coming off a major injury. Just keep that in mind. All right, 5 o'clock straight up, 16 bucks to play with. Quick timeout. John Bueller from Fansided. It's going to join me at 5:05. We'll talk a little NFL with him, a little college. We'll also talk some baseball as well. Keep it locked in. We'll take you up to 6.
This is what the Down Beach Seafood Fest is all about. It's about community, it's about friends, it's about culture, right? The food culture in Atlantic County is rich.
All right, hold on, guys. I got to make that transition again. And I got to get the rest of these commercials in because, as we like to say in the business, these are paying sponsors. Hang on tight. Sometimes I get a little ahead of myself and I push the wrong button. Hang on.
Hi, I'm Bruce Pascoe. I'm very fortunate. Years ago, I found something that I genuinely like to do, and it's something that helps other people. What I do is help people transition from traditional health insurance into Medicare. I've been doing it here in Atlantic County for more than 20 years. If you're getting ready for Medicare, call me for a free consultation. 609-484-9800.
This is what the Down Beach Seafood Fest is all about. It's about community, it's about friends, it's about culture, right? The food culture in Atlantic County is rich.
Hi, I'm Bruce Pascoe. I'm very fortunate. Years ago, I found something that I genuinely like to do, and it's something that helps other people. What I do is help people transition from traditional health insurance into Medicare. I've been doing it here in Atlantic County for more than 20 years. If you're getting ready for Medicare, call me for a free consultation. 609-484-9800.
I'm firing up commercials at will today. I mean, this is what happens with all these great paying sponsors. We're just doubling up on a Friday. That's definitely the definition of what the frig Friday. Rich Quiñones here, middays with Q. We'll take you up to 6 o'clock straight up. Our good friend from Fansided, John Bueller, kind enough to join us for a couple moments. I was actually thinking about you when we were talking last week about MLB trade deadline right around the corner, and we mentioned the Rockies and who might they, who would be some players right there. And what happens? The Yankees go out and they trade for McCann.
It happens. I mean, like Colorado's hasn't been good in a very long time. They've got players there. Yankees trying to make a push, trying to catch Toronto, I believe. So I don't know exactly when the trade deadline is coming up, but like it's starting to pick up here a little bit. So it's a good move, and I'm in favor of it.
Yeah, I wanted to get to a little NFL with you. We were having these discussions and debates yesterday, and I actually started off talking a little bit more about this. I've got two or three teams that I think are in for kind of your quote uh, rude awakening. One of them is Dallas. The other, I think, Kansas City takes a substantial step back. And then the third is Pittsburgh because I think they put all their eggs in the Aaron Rodgers basket. So if I give you those three teams, give me a reason why or why not you think they might take a step back. So, like for Dallas, for instance, I just don't like the roster. I'm not a believer in Prescott. I'm not a believer in the head coach. I think it's an older team. I don't believe they're going to be able to compete in the NFC East. So when I give you Dallas, do you think they're in for a rude awakening this season?
I'm a little bit higher on the Cowboys than you, but I can also see where you're coming from. Look, you're clearly third in the division behind Philadelphia and Washington, two teams that I think you and I would, a lot of other people would say, probably like locks to make the playoffs out
Oh
of the
yeah,
NFC. Great quarterback play, good coaching staff, all kind of move the same direction there. I think with Dallas, I think like if it's going to work for them, you've got the good rapport. If Prescott plays well, Lamb's healthy, Pickens helps out, that could be good. I know with Schottenheimer, they're going to try to run the ball, but this may be his only shot to be a head coach in the NFL. So he's got to make it work this year. I also think there's a chance that maybe the defense isn't very good, but Dallas is kind of in the middle of teams where it could go either way. Like maybe they make the playoffs, maybe they win 6 games. There's just a lot of stuff like that going on in football right now. But Dallas, I could go either way. I'm being positive because a whole full healthy season of Dak, but I can see where you're coming from.
yeah. And then I also mentioned the Kansas City Chiefs. I believe that they're an older team. I still don't know where Kelsey's mind's at. Mahomes has been taking a lot of hits. Andy Reid might kind of looking maybe all right. Maybe another year or two if I want to retire. Maybe another run here. But I also think that the West is getting a little better. I'm a lot more higher on Denver than most are. And quite frankly, John, I think the Philadelphia Eagles broke them last year in the Super Bowl. I think they physically just dominated them. And for a team that was on the cusp of three-peating to have that kind of effort and get blown out like that, I don't know if you recover from that. Now, when I say rude awakening, I'm saying maybe Denver pushes them and wins the division. I'm not going to go as far as say Kansas City's not making the playoffs, but I don't see this as a Super Bowl caliber team.
I don't either. It still feels like it's Kansas City's division to lose. It's kind of the same sort of thing with how Tampa is in the NFC South. There may be teams like Atlanta and Carolina that push them in the NFC South. With the Chiefs, I mean, it's about the Broncos and the Chargers. I'm more inclined to think that Denver could do it. Again, I don't really trust Justin Herbert. I've kind of believed that Bo Nix was going to work. You just need one guy to believe in you, and that's Sean Payton. Offensive line's really good. I just don't know how many points they're going to score. I don't really like the Broncos' weapons. I think the fact that they passed on Omarion Hampton, who went to the Bolts, was a bad move for them. But I think with the Chiefs, you're spot on. Like the last couple of years, we've seen like the Super Bowl hangover happen. It's not necessarily who wins or loses, but somebody who gets there is going to pull back. And I'm really high on Baltimore this year. I think that the Ravens, they're probably my early pick to win the Super Bowl.
Mm.
But Kansas City, I don't think it's going to be an AFC invitation or the Arrowhead Invitational anymore.
So you're Denver. I'm actually high on. I actually was talking about some of the sneaky moves. I love the move for Ingram. I think you got Bo Nix a
Mhm.
nice little target. He can stay healthy. I like that offense, and you got a proven coach there, right? Even though he's only won one Super Bowl, but still a veteran head coach in Sean Payton. I believe you lose in a fashion in which they lost. And speaking of Kansas City, it's very hard to come back from that. I
Yeah.
think you have to get up every game, every season if you want to make these runs and to get there and then get back again and then to try to get back, to win it again and then get back there one more time. And now to get back and now you're talking, you know, what the Bills did in the 90s was unheard of. But now we're saying, okay, get back to back to back to back appearances. I don't see it. I really don't. And I thought this team was leaking oil last year. Now we can sit there and say, yes, they were winning close games. That's a mark of a good to great team. But I also think the league's starting to figure them out a little bit. Get Mahomes off his spot, knock him around a little bit, sack him a little bit. Frustrate Kelsey, shut down those weapons on the outside, clog up the middle. I just, I just, I don't know how you recover from that. I know I keep saying it, and I'm not really adding anything new to my own thought. But what the Eagles did, they just destroyed them, man. They snatched their soul last year in that Super Bowl.
Yeah, when you lose in a fashion that's just like very visceral and everybody sees it, it can be in any sport. It's hard to come back. I mean, look at Florida State losing the Orange Bowl to Georgia. Like Florida State's not been the same program since. My Falcons haven't been the same since 2083 or since Steve Sarkisian couldn't call play in the goal line to
Mhm.
go versus the Eagles. But I think the big thing with the Chiefs is offensive line's not good,
Nope.
and I think that there's teams that have defensive lines. Obviously, Philadelphia is incredible. I think Baltimore's got a fantastic defense, top to bottom. They don't have the best offensive line, but it's pretty good. There's teams out there that could exploit Kansas City's weakness, and again, these are professionals. They're doing everything. They're operating at a high level. They This is their job to do this, and I think as long as Andy Reid's just kind of like, I'm just drawing up plays, I'm just going to let Spags call the defense, like it's putting a lot of pressure on a staff that's got to get some juice to it. And again, I don't think Mahomes is done winning Super Bowls, but like with this core, it probably is.
That's a fair point. Last team that, and you can add any teams you like, but I think Pittsburgh is
Yeah.
definitely. And I mentioned before he came on, it's just they waited and waited for Aaron Rodgers. They wanted to re-sign Fields. He tested the free agent market. The Jets came. They signed him to a multi-year deal. You knew Russell Wilson wasn't coming back. They had multiple chances to draft a quarterback in the draft. They didn't do it. I don't care that Rodgers threw that pick. I just in training camp, I feel he's not all in. And if you're not all in, especially at the quarterback position, you're in trouble. And you know, I believe that, and this kind of goes to one of our listeners' comments right now. Does Rodgers at QB lead to the end of Tomlin's tenure in Pittsburgh? I believe it does. I believe everything comes to a head. Aaron Rodgers, maybe plays his 16, 17, doesn't put up the gaudy numbers. They struggle. He starts complaining, wants to go on McAfee, starts maybe calling out the play calling, something as a quarterback you're not going to do in Pittsburgh under Tomlin. Tomlin gets a little frustrated at the press conferences. What have you done for me lately? Defense has been bad in playoff games, haven't won in a while. And I think it just reeks of a horrible ending for those two.
I could not be more down on the Steelers. I've been rooting for Mike Tomlin's demise for years. It's just, it's like he's trying to like gravy train it with like what made Bill Cowher special, what made Chuck Noll. They all handle adversity very well head on, but I feel with Tomlin, it's self inflicted. It's just a bunch of self inflicted nonsense. The locker room, there's all this like Steelers culture. It's just a bunch of crap to me. And they're bringing Rodgers in there, asking him to be the quarterback. This guy loves to ad lib. Playing for Arthur Smith, who loves to run the football, former guard. Yeah, that's going to go together like oil and water.
It's not, no.
And then Baltimore's way up here. I'm pretty high on what Cincinnati could do. Again, that's a team that's got a lot of variance. Cleveland's not going to be good, but Cleveland's like they're going to play with some heart this year. It all comes down to quarterback play, but the Steelers like they got to draft a quarterback. There's going to be a lot of guys next year you can get, and you got to reset this thing. I don't know who the next head coach of the Steelers is, but like Tomlin needs to be doing television. I'm so done with this team. I write probably an anti-Steelers article at least once a day at work.
I just think Marvin Lewis hung around for so long with the 500 records and then never winning a playoff game and winning your 10, 11 games. If you poll Steeler fans, if you tune into radio, sports talk radio in Pittsburgh, they're probably 65, 70. They wanted them gone a couple years ago.
Yeah. There's the Steelers, like people in Western Pennsylvania, they feel differently about the team than you and I do. I think from like a national perspective, a little bit more removed. We're like, okay, we got to rip the Band-Aid off, but then there's kind of some like kind of should maybe we hold on to it a little bit. It's kind of what it was with my Braves with Bobby Cox for a while. It's like we're just coming up dead against like Bruce Bochy and the Giants, and we can't do anything about it. So you got to make changes. I don't know if Tomlin's going to retire or whatever it is, but like this is not going to be a year. The Steelers are defined by winning Super Bowls. They don't win playoff games anymore.
Correct. Yeah, no, it's that's pretty much it, right? John Bueller, kind enough to join us. Again, does a great job with Fanside. He's got the blogs all over the place. College, the Braves blog, the Falcons blog as well, the college blog. So a lot of stuff. Follow him on X for all the content as well. You mentioned the Cleveland Browns, and we talked a little bit about this yesterday on the air. I think it's so rare you have four quarterbacks on that roster, not even counting Deshaun Watson. Um, I'm trying to figure this out, like the rhyme or reason in my head, where Stefanski knows he's fighting for his job, period, right? Kevin
Right.
Stefanski knows that this is it. Logic would say you go with the devil you know, not the devil you don't know in Joe Flacco. But it seems as though reports that they love, Slim Pickett, Wilson Pickett, right? Kenny Pickett. And then you
Why?
got the two young kids there. Exactly. Why? And I mean, is this ultimately, do you think they're going to carry four quarterbacks on the roster? And back in a corner right now, who is going to be their week 1 starter?
They're not going to keep four. I mean, even if you try to practice squad one of them, like they have to go to waivers. And in that situation, you got to bank on nobody claiming Gabriel or Sanders. So
You
I
don't
don't,
think so?
I don't know. Like for me, like the whole Pickett of it all, like Pickett's just it's just wasting everybody's time.
No,
Like
no, you don't think if they put Gabriel and Sanders on waivers, no one's going to claim him?
no, like somebody will claim them.
Oh,
Like
so
that's
okay, okay.
yeah. Like
I'm sorry.
if you cut them, like they're going to be on waivers. And
Right, 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 right. Some
yeah,
yeah.
yeah. It's Friday. It's a
No, no, no. You're good. You're good. You're
what I would do, the most logical thing here, and again, I think Stefanski is a good head coach. I like Andrew Berry's a front office. You got to deal with the Jimmy Haslam of the world
Mhm.
in terms of like ownership. He's preoccupied whatever the heck's going on in Knoxville with his alma mater. That's a whole mess with Nico Yamaliava and all that. But you keep Flacco because Flacco kind of got you to the playoffs 2 years
Yep,
ago. The ageless Joe Flacco, he knows his role now. He's kind of more of a
yep,
mentor.
yep.
I think Sanders has higher upside than Gabriel. Gabriel just looks small. And I think with Sanders, like, okay, maybe he could be like a Kirk Cousins, like prototype kind of guy, Geno Smith, like that works in the NFL. And you see what happens. And if it doesn't work out, then you just draft Drew Aller or Garrett Nussmeier next year.
Well, what about the rumblings that if it really goes to heck, you got the Saban and Arch Manning connection, right? Those two, or who knows what's going to happen in Carolina, which I'll ask you in a couple moments with Belichick. I mean, I think they're set up to fail. Do you believe Shador Sanders could be a serviceable pro quarterback?
I do. I think that he has enough traits. I mean, obviously not just NFL pedigree from his father, but like when he played at Jackson State and Colorado, two places that aren't easy to win. Like he's got good feel in the pocket, throws a catchable ball, seems to take to coaching. Obviously, his personality is not for everybody, but like he'll go out there and he'll compete. I think being right-handed is a good deal. Gabriel, that's going to work against him. Gabriel was in college for like 6 years. He got hurt at UCF, and I never understood the pick. Why take him in the third round? Which probably leads me to believe they're going to keep him because like that's just a terrible pick if you cut a third round pick.
Right. Uh, I mean, I know that Sanders came out and basically said he's not worried about limited reps. You remember back in the day, players knew they made the team when they weren't playing in that fourth or fifth preseason game. Kind of a
Right.
different animal now. I think you still need the reps. I don't know how good or bad he's going to be as an NFL starting quarterback. I do know that Flacco gives him a chance to win some games. I'm not a Pickett fan. I don't know about the kid Gabriel. So I still am shocked if you go into the season with four quarterbacks. I mean, you're seeing what's going on with Tennessee. They always lost a backup. A couple guys said, well, what about the Jets right now? Fields is banged up. I mean, you have to do your due diligence if you're Cleveland and start calling around a little bit. Hey, man, we've got four on the roster. What's your line of thinking? I mean, can you envision a scenario where it's crazy, but the Jets call up and say, well, what's it take for Shador?
Right. Yeah, it's not going to cost as much as Cousins. Cousins was like, okay, if you go, like Cousins won't go to like Tennessee because it's the Cam Ward show. But backing him up is I think Brandon Allen, and then I think I don't even remember who else it is after that. I think it's Tim Boyle, if I'm not mistaken.
Yes, yes, yes.
And then with the Jets, because I think I wrote about this for Fansided.com yesterday. It's Tyrod Taylor.
It's Boyle, Allen, and Ward. You're right
Yeah.
for Tennessee, and then for the Jets, they got the kid Martinez, they got the other kid, they got Taylor, and they got Fields.
And Brady Cook. So yeah, you've got two unproven guys who didn't get drafted out of the Power Four. Tyrod Taylor, who's been, a high-end backup level player out of Virginia Tech for a very long time. Again, this is a guy that I think coaches trust, probably a future coach down the line whenever he does hang up the spikes. But you're not going to win a lot of games with if Taylor started like 17. You might win more with Fields, but like there's going to be opportunities out there. And I think, unfortunately, there may be another quarterback that gets hurt, and then eventually we may see like a trade happen. But Cleveland's got a lot of players that could potentially move. Like all four of them, even Pickett. Like I'm like that they could be on an NFL roster. It may not be in Cleveland.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, it's just a bizarre. It's a really bizarre situation. The last team that I think is in for a rude awakening, I think Minnesota. You're essentially starting a rookie quarterback. Now, I got hammered last year because I was very pro slinging Sammy Darnold because I was happy for him. And obviously, the Sunday night game against Detroit, he played poorly, home field advantage on the line, and then boom, in the playoffs. Okay, fine. But I think they take a step back. I really do, because you got a career year out of him, and now you're expecting a young kid to come in off a major injury. Hey, take the reins of the offense and duplicate, what the veteran did last year, and that's a tough ask.
I'm right there with you. I was such a Vikings hater last year, just across the board. I'm like, this isn't going to work. I love Kevin O'Connell. Kwesi Adolfo-Mensah is like one of the handful of general managers that just aggravates me. It's like John Lynch is the same way too with the 49ers. Like, I don't think you operate with consequence. We know Chris Ballard doesn't operate with consequence
No.
in Indianapolis. So, and I thought, and McCarthy was always, of the 6 quarterbacks last year, he had the longest way to go. He was the least pro ready. He played at Michigan in an offense that was ground centric. It's all about like, running the football. He was all kind of propped up there. And then he gets hurt. And you got all these weapons around him. And I just think he's a better version of Zach Wilson. It's the same prototype. I can't get it out of my head.
Wow. That's so you think this kid is going to be essentially a bust?
Someone's got a bust from that draft class, and there's things about McCarthy that I can't get there with. And Caleb Williams is another guy that I kind of have concerns with above the shoulders too.
So you think the kid was more, what's the word I'm looking for, hyped up because of Harbaugh?
Yeah, I think that Wilton Spate went with Harbaugh. Like we thought we saw what Cade McNamara like looked good, and Harbaugh's a quarterback. He knows what he's doing with the position. And I just kind of feel that like a lot of McCarthy's athleticism is kind of overstated. Like, I don't think it really helps. Like, we keep seeing these videos like, oh, he's spinning around. He can throw it around his back, throw it a million miles an hour. Yeah, but can Justin Jefferson catch it? Like, can Jordan Addison catch it? Can TJ Hawkinson catch it? And I think the other thing with the Vikings is you're betting very big on your offensive line with 2 guys coming over from the Colts, blanking on their names right now, but like you're trying to basically mash 2 offensive lines together. And Detroit and Green Bay, they're not pulling back. I mean, Detroit lost coaches, but talent's still there, and Green Bay's got a high floor, and we'll see what happens with Chicago. But yeah, very dubious of the Vikings. Again, I could be wrong here, but they haven't been to a Super Bowl in 50 years for a reason.
I want to go back to your Williams thought, Endor comment. I know he's kind of been shaky in the red zone training camp, and I know he's been struggling inside the 20. I have a lot of NFL guys like yourself that have come on the air, and it's almost like a mixed bag with Williams. Some think, okay, he's poised for that 4,500, 4,000 yards, which I think would be a first in Bears franchise history.
Right.
But 4,500, 33 touchdowns, and then some are like, no. You're looking at probably 33, 15 to 20 touchdowns, and probably about 10, to 15 picks and a couple fumbles, and they win a couple games. Are you just not a fan of Williams? Are you not a fan of that offensive scheme? or you just don't think that just a very good quarterback?
Very talented. Kind of been groomed for this his whole life. Kind of entitled. Did not like how it ended with him at USC. Kind of thought he was a brat. Yeah, there's kind of the. I'm not really a big fan of Lincoln Riley at all, and everything like that. I think also, you go to the Bears. The McCaskies still own this team, and I lived in Chicago for 3 years. It's a very difficult place to win in football. Don't trust Ryan Poles as a general manager. And then Ben Johnson thinks he can come in there and like reinvent the wheel here. I'm like, there's been a lot of great offensive and defensive minds that have come into Chicago that have been devoured. And I guess in retrospect, like maybe we don't give the credit to what Dave Wannstedt did. I mean, he did win in Chicago and Miami. People don't win there very often.
So if you look at Williams and you look at the Bears' history, obviously they've never had a 4,000-yard passer. They're the only team for which such a statement applies. Last year alone, 6 quarterbacks threw for 4,000 plus yards. 9 teams have had a quarterback throw for more than 5,000 yards in a season. Obviously, Drew Brees did it 5 times with New Orleans. So his lofty goals and expectations, right? 4,000 yards, 25 something touchdowns. Last year, 62% completion percentage, 3,500 yards, 20 touchdowns, 6 picks, 88 passer rating. Took off a little bit. I think sometimes he didn't see the field. I think it was more out of necessity. I think that line's going to keep him upright. I think they have to run the football first. Do you think he'll be given free reign? And when I say free reign, I don't want to say, you can call those holes at the line of scrimmage, but hey, if it's there, take a shot down the field, because we still don't know what we have in Caleb Williams, is kind of my point.
I don't really trust the receiving core, to be honest with you. I never really have, like with the Bears. But I will say, though, I do feel that Ben Johnson will empower him. But you're absolutely right. It starts with the ground game. That's how the Bears offense is built. And if Williams is able to play all 17 games, and they're around 500, he'll probably get above 4,000 yards. He throws a good ball, gets the ball out quickly, but like athleticism might be a little bit overstated, but I do think the line's pretty good. So there's things to be had there. It's all about like who are you going to finish ahead of in the NFC North? Maybe it's Minnesota, but I can't definitively say that.
You see this story with Christian Watkins. He
Yeah.
he gets cut, right, and it's funny because I know the whole thing with his rehab, and he's dancing in a video, and now the NFLPA and everyone's kind of getting involved. I mean, look, you say whatever you want about him, but the kid can play, man. I mean, he's a good player. I mean, he's going to get scooped up. I just thought it was kind of odd, like you're dancing around the locker room, and life comes at you fast, and then the next day you're cut.
That's the Raiders for you. But I will say, though, throughout the Dabo Swinney era at Clemson, and maybe with Venables and even beyond, they have fantastic defensive linemen, and he's probably the best ever play there. Like he was so good for like their national championship runs. Had a lot of success there with the Dolphins, and then obviously there's probably some sort of conflicting thing with like, okay, I need you to rehab here. I'm not going to do that. But then, like, shouldn't like your teammate Cleveland Farrell was with the Raiders, and that was a disaster. Like, why'd you go there?
Right.
But then again, it's the Pete Carroll era. It's Chip Kelly there. It's a different vibe from when you probably signed the contract ahead of last year. So I get it, but you're absolutely right. He will get scooped up pretty quickly. He's just going to go to the Eagles. It's going to be all for everybody else.
Yes, let's let them let the rich get richer, as we like to say. I mentioned this the other day. Had my buddy Nick Costco on that covers college football for All in Three Sports, and we were talking the ACC. And what would be the realistic expectations? What are your realistic expectations for Carolina this year in Belichick? Can you see them squeezing out 4 or 5 wins? Do you think he's going to have a difficult time, with coaching young kids, and then obviously dealing with kids going through the portal and transfers? Do you think this is a season in which he's just trying to reestablish himself? I mean, how about your overall thoughts on Carolina and Belichick?
That's a team that's going to be like 5-7, 6-6, 7-5. Like they've got some challenging games. opening with TCU to start the year.
Mhm.
That's not easy. TCU is tied with Ohio State and like 3 other teams for the longest active winning streak in college football. There will be wins to be had there. You're probably going to go about what 2-6, 3-5 in conference play. You get UCF on the schedule. UCF's going to be awful. But like, it's all about figuring out like the college game is different than the pros. I will say though, one thing that does have me intrigued, and again, my false start co-host Cody Williams is a massive North Carolina fan, so he's really plugged in there. Gio Lopez, the South Alabama transfer quarterback, that guy could be pretty good. So the ACC is going to have a lot of really talented teams near the top. Carolina might be able to knock off like one or two, but like where the roster is left under Mac Brown, it's not. I think basically Belichick took this job of the belief that they're going to get a major NIL investment in 26. So we may see the Tar Heels be a bigger player in the portal in a year or so.
So that then, by that belief, you feel then this is not a one and done. Like, what if they won 7 games in a bowl game, and he basically reaffirmed the NFL's belief that, okay, this guy can still coach, and we know that there's so much turnaround in the NFL on Black Monday with these coaches getting fired. I guess the question is, if he goes 7-5 or whatever it is, wins 7 games, 6 games, 7 games, 8 games, and they win a bowl game, does that now entice an NFL team that got rid of a head coach? Hey man, this guy can still coach.
You're asking the right questions. I think that's the only way he leaves Carolina after 1 year. It's to go back to the NFL to have an opportunity to break Don Shula's all-time record. And I think it bothers him that he wasn't able to do that in New England, but he
Agreed.
kind of did it to himself there in the end. I just don't know what franchise is going to be desperate enough to do that.
Everyone's been saying to me all week, Q, give me one team. And there's two. Dallas, because it's Dallas and Jerry
Right.
Jones. But the other is the one that he has such high praise and affinity for, and that's the Giants.
Yeah.
And the fact that Mara did not give Joe Shane and Brian Daboll a contract extension tells me everything I need to know. Like, it's such a bad situation. That's another team I think is going to be in for a rude awakening for so many different reasons. But I don't want to hear this. Well, we drafted the kid. He only played 6 or 7 games after Russell Wilson was benched or struggled or got hurt. We weren't going to go to Winston. We want to see what the kid has. Give us another year. I don't want to hear that anymore. And I think you and I both agreed they shouldn't have come back. Joe Shane and Brian Daboll should have been fired.
Yeah. You made the obvious decision to get Abdul Card at 3, which you and I and everybody else would have probably done at 3. It's like, that guy's phenomenal. Dart, we'll see what happens there, but I think the Giants is probably the most likely place for him to go. Again, he won Super Bowls there as Parcells as DC, but Dart wasn't his guy. You get somebody else. Maybe you come in there with Michael Lombardi as your GM. You could try something there with what you're doing at Carolina. You bring in your UNC staff, and then you draft a quarterback. You're going to have guys available to be had there. I don't know exactly like who feels like a Giant in the draft. I mean, Allard does, but he's also from Cleveland, so that could work. I don't know. Give me Sellers. Give me Sellers in the Giants. That'd be a lot of fun. That guy could be that guy. That'd be fun.
No, I'm. It's another point you bring up, and I want to pick your brain on this. The pressure on Arch Manning. You go on the road, you open up against Ohio State. I know we've kind of talked about this. Either damned if you do, damned if you don't. He lights up the world. This kid's got it. He doesn't light up the world. He's got to win 3 winnable games after 4 winnable games. Is this a situation where Arch is basically playing this season to be the number 1 draft pick? If that kind of makes sense. Like, all eyes are on him. I know they're the kid from Clemson. I know, he can have a big season, but I guess my thought question point to you is, if the consensus pick at the end of the day is going to be Arch Manning, can you envision a scenario where if a team like the Giants really have a horrible season, or Cleveland has a horrible season, I mean, can that be a potential landing spot going on the premise that he is the consensus number 1 draft pick?
He's not going to be. And there's also like a chance that Texas may not make the playoff potentially with their schedule. It's going to come down to this. He's got to prove to me and the rest of college football that he can win one of these 3 games on the road. Can he win in Columbus versus Ohio State? Can he win in
That's a
Gainesville
tough
versus
ask to open
Florida?
up the season, though, after
Mhm.
what, 2 career starts?
Yeah. Then you got to win in the Swamp versus Florida. That's going to be tough. And then you got to win between the hedges versus Georgia, a team who owned you last year and hasn't lost home since 2019. I don't know if a 9-3 team is going to make the playoff, but I will say though, from a pedigree like standpoint, like if Arch Manning is all that in a bag of chips this season, like I could see him going to the Giants. But again, you're treading on Uncle Eli's turf, so maybe they're going to protect that. I think Cleveland could make sense potentially. I think maybe Uncle Peyton's like, okay, Jimmy Haslam's the biggest booster at my alma mater. Uh, Stefanski, Barry, they're solid. You've got Miles Garrett. That could
Oh,
be
that
more.
that's a fa I gotta cut you off. That's a fascinating p I didn't even think about that. That is a fascinating point you bring up with Eli.
Yeah,
But that's I mean, look, if this kid plays for the Giants and he has half the career, I mean, you're talking about an all-time great Giant and an all-time great quarterback in New York. And I know people don't look at Eli as an all-time great. He will make the Hall of Fame one day, but a two-time Super Bowl champ and two-time Super Bowl MVP. So, and a Giant legend, if you will. And it's like, okay, is it they want to protect Eli or protect the kid from, trying to duplicate Eli's success? Because if he doesn't and he flames out and turns into a, you know what I'm saying? Like, man, what if if you go to New York and you turn out to be a bust, guess what? Uh, People are always going to remember that. If you somewhere else and maybe it doesn't work out, yeah, because it's Arch Manning in the name, but they're going to forget sooner rather than later.
as it is with everything with the Mannings, it's all based on how Archie's career went. Archie played his tail off at Ole Miss, had Ole Miss really good. Like his best game was losing to Alabama, finishing runner up for the Heisman. Then he goes to the Saints, kind of an expansion era team. Did the best that he could, made a couple Pro Bowls, got the tar beat out of him. And it's like, okay, if I have sons, I'm going to make sure that they go to places that have things working for
Where they
them.
can succeed.
Yeah, it was kind of like Peyton Manning stayed in school for next year to avoid the Jets, and he went to the Colts because it's like, I think I'm trying to remember who the GM was, but even at that point, like late Jim Irsay had been like in scouting, had worked his way up, and kind of earned his reputation as like a good general manager, and he had a fantastic career with the Colts. The Giants with Eli, had a good year, great career at Ole Miss. He's like, I'm not going to the Chargers. We're going to go to the Giants. So everything will be calculated. That's why like they're not going to leave it to chance. I would be stunned if Arch comes out in 26, maybe 27, but there's other quarterbacks that could be coming back uh, in 27 as well. It really just comes down to like the right fit because they're going to do everything in their power to make sure that like everything is paved with gold because that's just what the Mannings are.
Yeah, no, no, no. I mean, I can't really argue that point. Knowing, following Eli's career and as long as I have, and just knowing it, the ins and outs of everything that transpired, it is kind of fascinating. If you believe he doesn't come out, then do you think I know it's so early. We're only in July, but the kid from Clemson. I mean, right now, if you kind of mock it, who would be your potential top quarterback coming out?
I'd probably go Garrett Nussmeier out of LSU. He's kind of got the build of like a Matthew Stafford, Justin Herbert, big body guy. Started for a couple of years. We've obviously seen how Jaden Daniels and Joe Burrow have played at LSU. The question is, do you go join your dad's team at the Saints? Again, that's asking a lot. I mean, he's from Lake Charles, Louisiana. I think he's going to be good, but obviously, like that prototype works. I also think Klubnik could potentially win the Heisman and be the first in Clemson history, but he's not that big. I think he's only like 6'2", 200. I need to see this guy win games like because of him. I don't think he does very well from behind, but he's a potential candidate there. If Lenore Sellers has the year that I think he's capable of at South Carolina, you're looking at the next Cam Newton or Josh Allen. That might be a number one pick. And then if Penn State wins the national title, Drew Aller could be the first round pick, like what Kerry Collins was way back in the day, and or
Right.
maybe he'll
Yeah.
coast in there and be a next
Yeah.
Todd Blackledge. Yeah, that could happen too.
Well, that's yeah. I
Yeah,
mean,
no.
yeah. Todd. Oh my goodness. He got drafted by Kansas City, right?
Yeah, he was the second quarterback taken. Like every
Was
Even
that 83 draft?
83 draft, he went 7th, and then like what? Jim Kelly went a few picks later. Ken O'Brien, Tony Eason, and Dan
Tony
Marino.
Eason, and then
All of them had a
Marino.
better career than him.
Yeah, Tony Eason. Yeah, Ken O'Brien. I mean, had his he had a moment or two with the Jets, probably
Mhm.
84, 85. But yeah, I mean, everyone kept passing. It is such a crapshoot when you talk about these quarterbacks in the NFL. I'll let you out on this. I'm glad you mentioned Cam Newton because we were going back and forth yesterday with his comments regarding Jalen Hurts, and I've been posting a couple stuff and clips, and everyone, you get the Cam Newton fanboys that come out, and then obviously you get the Eagles fans that come out, and Cam Newton, like I said, had his moments in the pros. No one's taking that away from him. But I was pulling up the stats and comparing him with Jalen Hurts, and I don't even know how. This is a guy that would rather have an MVP, regular season MVP, than a Super Bowl ring. That, to me, that kind of tells you everything you need to know about Cam Newton. But if you look at his career and look what Jalen Hurts has been able to do in a short time, you would say right now Jalen Hurts is the better quarterback. Would you?
Oh yeah, I mean, like it's funny that we're comparing them. We're talking about the
I
biggest
know
front.
it's apples and oranges. I know.
We're talking about one of the best college quarterbacks one season ever at Auburn. Like that team had him and Nick Fairley and nothing,
He was a
and they
stud in college.
and then obviously he had that 3-year run there with 13, 14, 15 with Carolina, utterly incredible. The biggest front runner of all time. Like when it's going well, you can't beat your quarterback. You're winning every game. Like that's kind of what he was. When it hits the fan, not so much. Then you look at Jalen Hurts. It's like everybody at Alabama loves him. Everybody at Oklahoma loves him. And then he's not as universally beloved in the NFL. I think that he goes to a great organization in the Eagles. Everyone's like, "Oh, this guy's way cooler and better than Carson Wentz, whatever the heck we got here." But like Hurts plays the game. He's also the son of a coach. He's going to have a longer career. He's not taking the hits that Newton did. He's also smaller, so he's not like going to force himself out there to get run
Right.
over. He'll age nicely, and I think he's got the chance to be the greatest quarterback in Eagles history.
Yeah, I mean, listen, everyone will still say it's Donovan. Jaws had his cup of coffee.
Mhm.
Cunningham never can, get through that playoff hump. But I think the fact that Jalen Hurts has gone to 2 Super Bowls in 3 years and he's Super Bowl MVP, outplayed Mahomes twice, and he could have won 2 of them. That kind of right there, that gives you the cachet. No disrespect to a backup in Nick Foles that had his moment in the sun when Carson Wentz got hurt. But yeah, I definitely think it's trending that way. What do you have going on with the many pods that you are entangled in?
Okay, so on Wednesday we had the latest episode of Blog and Dirty. I kind of talked about the Falcons heading into training camp. Really excited about all. Talked about if the Will Levis injury opens up an opportunity for Cousins to get traded, and then I swear every time I do that show, like something happens in the NFL that's Falcons related or tangential, like Justin Fields, like maybe they could trade him
Right,
there,
right.
but
Make a move for him.
yeah, but optimism certainly in the air in Atlanta, Flowery Branch, and the Southeast about this team. We'll see what happens. And then with false start, kind of having just trying to get ready for the season preview. We'll start doing some dive-ins on like what the records are, what I think everybody's going to do. Trying to figure out who's going to make the playoff. And I kind of got my brain in a pretzel over that. So like, it's the only way I can do it, Rich, is like I got to pick every game and then I got to see how it goes. And I sat there for like 45 minutes yesterday. I'm like, what am I doing with my life? I
Oh
can't
my
figure this
goodness.
out.
Now, were you a big wrestling fan growing up?
At times, like there's certain like wrestlers like I kind of like the idea of it. Never really watched it too much, but like there's some wrestlers out there and that I grew fond of. Yeah.
Well, even if you were a novice wrestling fan, I said yesterday on the air that Hulk Hogan's heel turn is the greatest in sports history. Now, I tried to equate it to other heel turns in sports, and I was like, Favre going to Minnesota, but he had the cup of coffee with the Jets. Marcus Allen was with the Raiders and Kansas City. T.O. Dallas, the Eagles. I really, maybe baseball. Can we find a heel turn in baseball?
I hated seeing Tom Glavine pitch for the Mets. That was awful for me
Yeah,
personally.
well, you know what? That's not a bad. Yeah, Johnny Damon, right? But he was also a guy
Yeah.
that bounced around a little bit.
Yeah, I mean, like when you think of heel turn, you think of like LeBron James going to the Heat and everything like that. I don't necessarily know what else. There might be some other ones out there.
The
And
Glavin's a good one. That's a good one.
yeah, yeah, that was one. Freddie Freeman going to the Dodgers. It's all coming up Braves.
That's oh yeah, I feel
Uh,
pain. Now, yeah, you're all these Atlanta Braves wounds are starting to come out right now.
if you want to go the other way, Max going to the Braves from the Cubs. That's another one.
That's a good one. That's a good one. Yeah, I mean it's I just tried to dig and find, the NFL stuff, and I really it's like if you play your whole career, I think if Favre would have went directly from the Packers to the Vikings, then that I would sit there and say that's a heel turn. Like there you go, that's right up there. But because he had his little stint with the Jets and then it didn't work out, yeah, that's bad week, man. Ozzy, Theo
Yeah.
Huxtable, Hulk Hogan, Chuck Mangione, not a good week.
No, it always comes in waves. Yeah, Ozzy was like we kind of knew it was coming with his health and everything like that, but it
Yeah, yeah.
still kind of snuck up on us for sure.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, well, look, I mean, even like Hulk Hogan, said
Yeah,
respiratory issues, 71, 72, but all the steroids. I mean, and ultimately, when you talk about someone's legacy, you got to take the good and the bad. Just great entertainer, but some questionable comments here and there, and line of thinking. So, all right, brother, I always appreciate you jumping on board. Have a wonderful sports weekend. We will definitely check out all your great content at Fansided, and already been subscribing to your stuff on YouTube as well. But I always appreciate it. We will do it again next week, pal.
all right, sounds good. Thanks for having me.
All right, you got it, my guy. Jumping, that's good stuff. I'm glad. I'm glad. Joey B enjoyed the segment there. He always enjoys a segment when we have John. I got some comments I want to get into regarding Arch Manning. Nick and Wallyford chimes in. That was an excellent segment. John brings us amount of insight, and I did not think about that as well. Why would you even put Arch Manning in that situation? I honestly that came out that comment and thought I haven't heard one person bring it up yet. I haven't heard one person bring it up yet. Like, think about this. If you are Arch, as much as you probably want to go to the Giants, maybe in the back of your mind, that's the dream. But man, that pressure in that scenario, and that tells you the Giants again have no idea what the hell they're doing because they just drafted a quarterback. But what do I know? All right, 5:47, quick timeout. We got to pay the bills. We'll come back on the other side. We will close things out. We got the Q Factor as well. Keep it locked in.
This is what the Down Beach Seafood Fest is all about. It's about community, it's about friends, it's about culture, right? The food culture in Atlantic County is rich.
All right, because it is a What the Frig Friday, I do have my What the Frig Friday. It's a sports story, by the way. Oh, but I will mention the kid that flipped the bat was able to play, but his team got tagged with the mercy rule, so they lost. So I guess it was all for naught. How about this? 12-year-old Romania Castan will be making her pro debut this Saturday in Mexico. So let me read that again. Let me add in something there. 12-year-old boxer Romina Castan will make her pro debut this Saturday, July 26th in Mexico. Are you kidding me? Like, how are they even sanctioning this fight? A 12-year-old making her pro debut. This is again, it's somewhere in Mexico, and I gotta try to pull it up on Box Rec, and I'll see if I can do that right now to see exactly where this kid is going to be fighting. So this will be, well, they don't actually, BoxRec doesn't have it listed just yet. But 12-year, this is not amateurs where you have headgear. Like, this should not be a sanctioned fight. It shouldn't. You're not sticking a 12-year-old in the ring. God knows who the hell she's going to be fighting. I don't even care if it's a 19-year-old. With no headgear, no protection, you're sticking a 12-year-old in the ring to make her pro debut. I don't care if this is in Mexico or not. You cannot allow this fight to be sanctioned. You can't. There's nothing cute about this. Oh, that's fantastic. For years, fighters got special exceptions if they were 17, because really, it was very rare you saw a 17-year-old turn pro. 18, fine. 17, different animal. A 12-year-old, you're going to allow this kid at 12 years of age to fight? You're asking, to me, this is beyond savage. It is. It's beyond barbaric. It's disgusting. Who in the world? The promoter, whoever the hell this person is, should be thrown in jail. Should be thrown in jail for even thinking this. The matchmaker, thrown in jail. Yeah, who thought, let me wake up in the morning and have a cup of coffee, a little cup of Bustelo, and decide I'm going to stick a 13-year-old, a 12-year-old in the ring. A 12-year-old in the ring. Make her pro debut. There is absolutely, I do not care how good this kid is as an Ami. It is, you cannot allow this. You can't. You cannot allow this girl to step in the ring. And what the hell? I'm sorry. I'm calling out the family too. Sorry. This is what's so wrong about the sport, and so wrong about some of these countries when they sanction these events. It's disgraceful. It's despicable. It's beyond me actually saying what the frig. I mean, I can't even say what I wanted to say, but on no God's green earth do you allow a 12-year-old to step in the ring and make her pro debut. This is a really bad job, man. It's very disheartening. It's very disturbing. And the promoter and the matchmaker, I would throw them in jail today. Throw them in jail today. It's just no words. No words. Have we seen 17-year-old, 18-year-old? Yeah, we have. Certain exceptions, yeah, we have. We've seen that. We've seen that. But man, I'm telling you, I just, 17, you're filling out, you're a teen, but now you're a kid at 12. You're a kid. You are a kid. Very disgusting, man. Really disgusting. All right, let me give you the Q-Factor before we get out of here, before I blow a gasket on a Friday. We're going a little WNBA today, by the way. Liberty -5.5, Mercury against the Lynx -10.5. I'm sorry, Liberty -5.5 over the Mercury, Lynx -10.5 over the Aces, Yankees 116 on the money line against the Phillies. Jose in Atlantic City chimes in. Q, what's the big deal? If they're sanctioned fights, a sanctioned fight. It's not. Are you friggin' kidding me? Seriously, are you kidding me? With this, what's the big deal? What's the big deal? Yeah, let's stick a 12-year-old in the ring just for the hell of it and see how she does. What, do you guys have common sense? Do you have common sense? Did it wait bye-bye on a Friday? You think this is a cute story? This is cool? Sticking a 12-year-old in the ring to make a pro debut? You're not talking about amateurs where you got the headgear and the gloves are different. You're talking about a kid. Do you understand how dangerous this is? Do you understand the liability issues? This is almost like malpractice. Do you understand it's barbaric? There's no place in the sport of boxing. I don't care if it's in the US. I don't care if it's in the Caribbean. I don't care if it's in Mexico. I don't care if it's in Europe. Absolutely no way you allow this kid to make her pro debut. And again, I know she's had a wonderful amateur record. You know, they're looking at this kid and they're saying, "Here we go," right? Now, don't even throw to me Pat Daly, who turned professional at age 10, but that was 1923 to 1931. She retired at 17 years of age. So now you're going to give me the crap. Oh, 94 years later. Man, it's a different time. It is a different time. And it's disgusting. This is going to take place in Veracruz, Mexico. So she'll break the record for being the youngest female boxer to debut. It's very upsetting to actually think this is going to be her opponent. Here you go. So apparently her opponent, I mean, who's the jackass promoter here? Her opponent is going to be Guadalupe Medina, who's 21 years of age, who already has 10 wins, with 2 of her wins coming via early round knockout. To follow female boxing, unless you're in certain weight classes and certain fighters, knockouts are very rare, but still. 12 years old against a 21-year-old. I'm sorry. This is an absolute disgrace. This should not occur. This should not be allowed. And as I said, the promoter and the matchmaker at this moment, their asses should be thrown in jail. It's not good at all. All right, you got the Q Factor. Good stuff from John Bueller jumping on board. Couple things I want to let you know. We're going to add some segments in for the fall, working on a couple of things come fall time with the show, and also where you'll be able to find us on the platforms going forward. Always lock me into social media. Get social, pretty easy to do. You can follow me on X and IG at RichQ, TikTok RichQ on the mic, and of course on TriX57 and a Facebook IG as well. I'll talk a little more about this tomorrow. We're going to do a short edition of Middays on a Saturday. That'll also be on SR 1029 FM The Game. But we want to start wrapping up. Good stuff from John Bueller. Excellent job on the comments, as always. We also are starting to add the audio from our NFL previews, our college football previews with Lloyd Vance, Nick Costco, respectively. That's part of our Back Your Play segment of the show. And you can check out buzzsprout.com. The audio is up right now on Spotify, Apple Podcast, Amazon Music, Podcast Index, Podcast Addict, Podchaser. I will also put the link on the show notes below on the YouTube channel as well. But a lot of the BYPs are up. We're doing all the AFC previews. Those are up. The NFC previews are going to be up and loaded in by tomorrow. So you guys can definitely support the show in that regard. And remember, these were over the last several weeks, but it's still very evergreen because we were looking at the raw gambling numbers, the win totals, the overs, unders. But again, Apple Podcast, Spotify, Amazon Music, Podcast Addict, Podchaser, Podcast Index, Podcast Player FM, and YouTube as well. So it's all over the place. You can just go on to buzzsprout.com and, of course, Back Your Play. But as I mentioned, definitely Spotify, Amazon Music, and Apple Podcast as well. They're all listed there. All right. As I mentioned, good stuff on a Friday. Excellent stuff. Another week in the books. Everyone have a wonderful sports weekend. Back in the saddle on Monday. Very busy show. Lunas, Manolo, Mentioso, Man Up Monday. We'll go over the Q-Fecta. We'll continue to talk a little NFL. I want to get into some MLB as well with the trade deadline right around the corner in baseball. You've got some games already going on. You got a nice little docket tonight. Battle as well. He's in the Phillies, so you know I'll be locked into that. We'll talk a little more Mets. Steve Gardner in his weekly spot on Tuesday. Jonathan Marsh, NFL, NBA. Oh, by the way, I saw that the Sixers cut Ricky Council. So that's kind of big news on the Sixers front in the NBA. So with that being said, as we always like to say, everyone have a wonderful Sports Friday. Keep us tuned in. Don't forget to subscribe and like the YouTube channel as well. But you guys are fantastic. Be safe, be sound. A short edition of Middays tomorrow, only exclusively on my X and the YouTube platform as well. And subscribe to Back Your Play.